Okay, so good day everyone. So we're now here in lesson 1.3, which is the Spanish colonization period. So in this period we have two important parts. First is the early Spanish colonial period, and then the second one, revolutionary period. So let's start with the early Spanish colonization period. We have two types of prose and poetry, which are the religious and secular. So once we said religious, it focuses on the topics like religion, beliefs of the Catholicism, and so on. While the secular, it focuses more on the topics or literature like humanism, romance, and socio-political topics. So let's have this religious prose and poetry. We have prayer leaflets and booklets. I know you are all familiar with this. So it came from the Spanish missionaries to Ladino poets. So, di ba last time, natanong ko naman kayo about Ladino. So, once we said Ladino poets, they are Filipino intellectuals who became fluent in both Spanish and Tagalog. And it is used to teach catechism, morality, and conduct. Usually, yung mga prayer leaflets and booklets, para siyang brochure na maliliit. And most likely, nakikita yan sa mga churches and free lang po iyon. So, ano ba yung mga nandun sa loob ng prayer leaflets? From the word itself, prayer. So, patungkol lang siya sa mga dasal and sa katuruan about the religion or about their belief. So, let's have this first Doctrina Christiana. Again, this is the first book printed in the Philippines way back 1593. So, ang Doctrina Christiana po, it is a prayer book and it has both the translation of Spanish and Tagalog texts. So this is the example for Doctrina Christiano page. So as you can see, meron siyang Spanish text or translation sa taas, then may Tagalog translation din. Then dito sa baba, as you can see, merong baybayin na inscription. So we all know that in Spanish period, ang mga nakapag-aral lang before ay yung mga elite, yung may mga kaya, mga mayayaman. So basically, sila lang yung makakaintindi ng Spanish language and yes, Tagalog. Pero dun sa mga ancestors natin na siguro matatanda na and they used to use the baybayin text. So, mas accessible to para sa lahat kasi meron siyang translation ng Spanish, Tagalog, and baybayin. Okay, so next po we have meditative verses. So, meron tong dalawa. First ay novena and Catholicism. So, ang novena, it is a Roman Catholic period of prayer lasting 9 consecutive days. So, prayer din siya na ginagamit for 9 consecutive days. So, usually, itong meditative verses, more likely yung novena ginagamit siya kapag Holy Week, kapag may patay, and kapag fiesta. Ayan. So, next catechism, it is a collection of questions and answers that are used to teach people about the Christian religion. So, again, yung novena, isa rin siyang prayer book na ginagamit for 9 consecutive days. Whereas, yung catechism, meron siyang questions and answers na ginagamit ng mga tao para matuto about how to live a Christian life. So, more likely makikita rin natin to sa mga Catholic churches. Next, we have Passion. So, it is a Philippine epic narrative of the life of Jesus Christ, focused on his passion, death, and resurrection. So, this is recited by the Catholics during the Lenten season, and it is considered or an example of narrative poetry. So usually nakikita rin natin to or na-experience natin or naririnig na rin natin to during Holy Week. Ito yung may maririnig ka naka-mic tapos may paulit-ulit silang binabasa. Though binabasa siya. Hindi lang siya basta binabasa, kundi may parang tono din. Since it's also an example of the narrative poetry, focuses on Jesus Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. Next, cenaculo. It is derived from the Spanish word cenaculo, which means the place where Jesus Christ celebrated the Last Supper with his disciples. Commonly, pina-perform siya through play sa mga churches or pwedeng sa streets. So, pinapakita doon yung Last Supper niya and also his execution. Next, we have komedya. Sabi ng ibang section, komedyo daw comedy. Okay, so that's wrong. It is also known as moro-moro or komedya de capa y espada. So, comedy, komedya, pinapakita niya yung conflict between the Spanish and the Muslims. And commonly, ang nangyayari after this play, pinapakita na ang mga Christians daw ang nananalo over the Muslims. And over time, tinigil na yung pagpe-perform ng komedya since it shows conflict and bias. Bakit bias? Bias sa Christians. And since religion yung pinag-uusapan, so naging sensitive siya for the others, lalo sa part ng mga Muslim. So over time, napalitan siya ng Zarzuela. Yung Zarzuela, isa siyang musical play na um, pinalit sa komedya. So, ang Zarzuela, mas nagpo-focus siya sa Filipino culture and their tradition. So, isa pa sa reason kaya tinigil yung komedya is mahal kasi yung production. So, before kasi may nag-sponsor ng mga mayayamang pamilya para ma-perform yung komedya. But since nga mahal din yung production, so ayun, isa rin yun sa naging reason kaya tinigil or pinalitan. Okay, so now we're done with religious prose and poetry. Again, we have Doctrina Christiana, we have Passion, we have meditative verses like Novena and Catechism, and we have um, Cenaculo, Commedia, and so on. So now let's move on to secular prose and poetry. So it emerged because of the changes and growth in Western ideologies and societies. So since merong influence from Western countries, kaya nagkaroon din tayo ng idea with other genre. So hindi na lang tayo kung before sa Spanish period, ang focus natin more on sa religious concepts or religion topics. Ngayon, nagkaroon na rin tayo ng iba pang genre or yung sa secular prose and poetry. So, ayun nga, nakafocus siya on topics that explore love and romance, and aside from that, about sa humanism, socio-political topics. So we have this metrical Roman. So this is a highly precise and structured poem. So we have two types of this. We have corrido and awit. So lagi niyong tandaan, in corrido we have characteristics like octosyllabic four-line stanza, meaning it has 8 syllables per line. So per stanza we have 4 lines, and for that each lines we have 8 syllables. And ang tempo niya ay mabilis. So, binabasa ang corrido ng mabilis. So, ang best example natin for corrido ay ang Ibong Adarna. So, do you still remember the story of Ibong Adarna? So, more likely, yung corrido, ang topic niya ay more on magical. So, meron siyang magical and fantastical elements, and more on nagre-revolve din yung topics or tema sa battles, sa mga kings and queens, ganyan. So, this is the summary of Ibong Adarna. So babasahin ko na lang to for you. So Ibong Adarna is a famous Filipino epic romance about the adventures of Don Juan, the youngest son of King Fernando and Queen Valeriana of the Kingdom of Brabania. When King Fernando becomes mysteriously ill after having a troubling dream, the only cure is the magical song of the legendary Ibong Adarna, a colorful bird that lives on Mount Tabor. So here in the introduction part of the story, we encounter the characters like Don Juan. He's the youngest son rather of King Fernando and Queen Valeriana. So si King and Queen, may anak silang tatlong lalaki, si Don Juan yung bunso. So later on, makikilala natin kung sino pa yung dalawa. So ayun, sabi dito sa first part, nagkasakit daw si King Fernando, and the only cure for that mysterious ill ay yung magical song ni Ibong Adarna. And si Ibong Adarna, isa siyang colorful bird na nakatira sa Mount Tabor. So dito, Don Juan's older brothers, Don Pedro and Don Diego, failed to capture the bird and are turned into stone by its enchanting song. So Don Juan succeeds by following the advice of a wise hermit, enduring several trials and eventually capturing the bird. However, his jealous brothers betray him and leave him for dead before taking the bird for themselves. So ito, nakilala natin kung sino pa yung dalawang brothers niya, which are Don Pedro and Don Diego. So since kailangan nilang matagpuan or mahuli si Ibong Adarna, dali ang nagpunta si Don Pedro and Don Diego. Pero hindi sila nagsucceed kasi naging bato sila. Bakit sila naging bato? Dahil sa enchanting song ni Ibong Adarna. So, nung dumating na si Don Juan, again, si Don Juan yung pinaka-bata sa kanila or bunso, nagsucceed siya by following the advice of a wise hermit. So, ano ba yung advice ni hermit? Sabi doon, ang rule, wag kang dapat hindi ka makatulog sa kanta ni Ibong Adarna. So, nag-succeed siya do'n, hindi siya nakatulog, and dahil din sa kanya, kaya yung mga kapatid niya na naging normal ulit sila. So, after that, nahuli na nga ni Don Juan yung si Ibong Adarna, pero dahil competitive yung dalawa niyang kapatid, sinaktan nila si Don Juan and kinuha nila yung Ibong Adarna pabalik sa kaharian. Ayan, so sabi dito sa last part, however, his jealous brothers betray him and leave him for dead before taking the bird for themselves. So, last part, after his brothers leave him for dead, Don Juan is rescued by a kind hermit and recovers. He continues his journey, faces many trials, and proves his bravery and goodness. In the end, the truth about his brother's betrayal is revealed, peace is restored in Berbania, and Don Juan is rewarded for his courage and loyalty. So, hindi nag-end yung story na halos mamamatay na si Don Juan. Kundi tinulungan ulit siya ni Hermit and naka-recover siya from that kind of scenario. So, before that, nakabalik na yung kapatid ni Don Juan na si Don Pedro and Don Diego. But then, nung pagbalik nila, nakaharap na sila sa hari, sa father nila, si Ibong Adar na ayaw kumanta, hindi siya kumakanta kasi alam niya na hindi naman yon yung nakahuli sa kanya, kundi si Don Juan. So, nung pagbalik ni Don Juan din sa kaharian, tsaka lang kumanta si Ibong Adarna. So, doon na-reveal na si Don Juan talaga yung nakaka-capture kay Ibong Adarna. So, by that, gumaling yung father nila and nagkaroon ng peace sa Birbania and syempre, nakatanggap ng rewards si Don Juan for his courage and loyalty. Okay, so that's the example for the corridor. So next we have awit. So both of this metrical romance ay poem po sila. So sa awit naman, it has dodecasyllabic 4-line stanza, meaning for each stanza and each lines we have 12 syllables. So yung tempo niya naman or kung paano siya binabasa ay mabagal. Kung sa corridor mabilis, sa awit po ay mabagal. So our common theme here or concept ay nagre-revolve siya sa or nagre-reflect sa um, tunay na buhay ng mga tao and hindi siya katulad ng corridor na may magical or fantastical elements. So, pero nagkakapareha sila sa concept na may mga king and queen, may mga battles, pero wala na siyang magical or fantastical elements. So this is the summary of Florante and Laura at Laura. So as Florante awaits death, he recalls his life, his education in Athens, his love for Princess Laura, and his heroic victories in battle. He is rescued by Aladdin, a Muslim prince from Persia. Despite being from an opposing kingdom, through their friendship, they discover that both have suffered because of love, jealousy, and injustice. So, during this time, si Florante, meron kasing antagonist, which is si Don um, an Adolfo ata yung pangalan nun. Basta, meron isang antagonist na inggit sa kanya and may gusto din kay Princess Laura. So, para masolo niya si Princess Laura, after uh, parang kakagaling lang sa battle ng Florante, dinakip or kinidnap siya ni Don Adolfo, dinala siya sa forest and tinali siya sa isang puno. So, nung nandun na si Florante, ito na yung mga naiisip niya, nire-recall niya yung naging buhay niya, yung pag-aaral niya, yung pagsasama nila ni Laura, and lahat ng heroic victories na nangyari sa kanya throughout the battles he had. So, siyempre dahil wala naman ng ibang tao doon, hopeless na si Florante, naghintay na lang siyang mamatay. But then merong napadaan doon which is si Aladdin. So si Aladdin, he is a Muslim prince na galing sa Persia. So somehow parehas sila ng experiences. So tinulungan ni Aladdin si Florante even though they have different belief or background. Kasi si Florante isa siyang Kristiyano or Catholic, si Aladdin naman isang Muslim. So, hindi nag-succeed yung plano ni Don Adolfo towards Florante kasi ayun, may tumulong sa kanya and nakabalik siya sa kaharian. So, meanwhile, Laura remains faithful to Florante despite Adolfo's attempts to force her into marriage. Eventually, Florante defeats Adolfo, restores peace to Albania and reunites with Laura. Aladdin is also reunited with his beloved Clarida, who helps defeat Adolfo. The story concludes with justice restored and true love prevailing. Okay, so at the end of the story, nakita natin na naging okay naman lahat, nabalik na sa dati, naging loyal si Laura kay Florante even though si Adolfo pinipilit siyang pakasalan siya. So, ganun din naman yung nangyari kay Aladdin. So, that's the example again for awit. Again, in metrical romance, we have two types, the corrido and the awit. In corrido, we have 8 syllables per line for each stanza, and for awit, we have 12 syllables per line for one stanza. And yung corrido, binabasa siya ng mabilis, yung awit, binabasa siya ng mabagal. So we're done with the early Spanish colonial period. Now let's move on to revolutionary period. So we have propaganda movement. So ang main focus ng propaganda movement to seek reforms and inform Spain of the abuses of its colonial government. So more likely, yung propaganda movement, ang aim niya is to seek reforms, magkaroon or to give influence para sa mga Filipino. And ang main influencer or ng propaganda ay si Jose Rizal. So, we have La Solidaridad. So, it is the official newspaper of propaganda movement. So, do you know kung sino ba yung part ng propaganda movement? So, we have Ilustrados. So, first nga, we have Rizal, Marcelo H. Del Pilar, Graciano Lopez Haena, Antonio Luna, Mariana Ponce, and Jose Maria Panganiban. So, they use their pseudonyms or pen names sa pagsusulat ng mga iba't ibang literature. So, si Jose Rizal, he used Laong Laan and Dimasalang. For Marcelo, he used Plaridel. For Graciano, he used Diego Laura. Si Antonio naman, taga-Ilog. Si Mariano Ponce, Tikbalang, Kalipulaco, and Naning. Si Jose Maria Panganiban, Jomapa. So, bakit ba kailangan pa nilang gumamit ng pseudonyms or ng pen names? Bakit hindi na lang pangalan na lang nila yung ilagay nila nung nag-publish sila ng mga books, novels, and so on? So, during that time, since they are writing for abuses of the Spanish government that time. So, kailangan nilang protektahan yung sarili nila as well as yung family nila. So, para hindi agad matitrace kung kanino ba nanggaling yung gantong literature, gantong balita. So, para din makapagsulat pa sila. So, ayun nga, isa nga sa nasulat during the propaganda movement is the La Solidaridad. So, it is the official newspaper that time. So, ang content naman ng topic nila is more on the abuses nga ng Spanish government and also para um, magising yung diwa ng mga Pilipino na hindi na okay yung hindi na okay yung pamumuno ng mga Espanyol dati sa Pilipinas. Okay, so please remember this illustrados in the pseudonyms or pen names that they've used. Alongside with this, we have propaganda literature. First, yung Diaryong Tagalog. So, sa Diaryong Tagalog, tatlo po yung nagsulat niyan. Pero ang pinakakilala kasi ay si Marcelo H. Del Pilar. So, ang nagsulat ng Diaryong Tagalog, si Marcelo H. Del Pilar, Francisco Calvo, and Basilio Teodoro Moran. So, isa to sa mga Filipino newspaper na nailimbag or naisulat with the use of Tagalog, Tagalog language. And sinulat siya para i-promote yung education, reforms, and the Filipino identity. And nakatulong din to para ma-spread yung um, nationalist ideals ng mga illustrados natin. And we also have Dasalan at Toksohan. So, kung titignan natin yung book na to, para siyang prayer book din. Kasi sa title pa lang may nakalagay na Dasalan. Pero hindi talaga siya about sa prayer book. So, ginaya lang siya or pinakita lang sa cover na mukha siyang prayer book para maipublish siya ng hindi napapansin ng mga Spanish na about na pala yun sa criticism or about sa ginawang abuses or hypocrisy ng mga pari. So, it encourages Filipinos to question religious and political oppression during that time. So next we have Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibusterismo by Jose Rizal. So during that time, nung nabubuhay pa si Rizal, dalawa lang naman yung novel na na-publish niya. So which are these two. So alam naman natin kung ano yung Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, though they are both fiction, pero sumasalamin yun sa mga pare na namumuno sa atin and more on nakafocus siya or ine-expose niya kung ano yung ginawang pang-aabuso ng mga Espanyol ay ng mga pare sa kababayan natin. Okay, so etong Noli Me Tangere na-publish siya noong 1887 and yung El Filibusterismo 4 years lang after ma-publish ng Noli, so 1891. Next naman we have Fray Botod. So ang ibig sabihin ng Fray Botod ay fat friar or pot-bellied friar or yung matabang pari. So parang sinasabi dito or pinapakita yung pagiging greedy, selfish, and abuse paggamit nila ng religion para maging power nila, para maging makontrol nila yung mga Pilipino that time. So, dito sa propaganda literature, ang main aim naman nila ay magkaroon ng reform about the government through writing and peaceful advocacy. So, si Rizal kasi parang naniniwala siya before na through writing magkakaroon ng equality sa government and the reforms. Pero dito sa revolutionary literature, nakita ni Andres Bonifacio na hindi tayo magkakaroon ng simpleng equality or reforms dahil lang doon. Though naging fuel din siya para magising yung puso ng mga kababayan natin para magkaroon ng revolutionary um, ayun nga nakita ni Andres Bonifacio na hindi lang sa ganong way or paraan. So, that's why nagkaroon ng samahan ng KKK or ng Katipunan. So, pinangunahan naman siya ni Andres Bonifacio. So, kaya tayo nagkaroon ng revolutionary literature. So, more on actions naman na to kaysa sa more on peaceful propaganda or peaceful advocacy. So, we have Kalayaan. So, yung Kalayaan po ay isa siyang newspaper din before. So, parang ini-encourage nila yung mga Filipino that time na sumali sa katipunan kasi hindi naman nila kakayanin na lumaban or aksyonan yung para makuha yung independence kung oonti lang yung mga Pilipino. So, during that time, may pinapakalat silang newspaper na kalayaan nga. So, parang way yon para mag-recruit ng mga tao na sasama sa revolusyon. Meron pa tayong iba't ibang literature katulad ng Liwanag at Dilim, Katapusang Himig ng Pilipinas at ang El Verdadero Decalogo na isinulat naman ni Apolinario Mabini. Okay, so that ends our lesson for Spanish colonization period. So again, sabi ko nga sa inyo, after this lesson, we'll be having your quiz on Genyo. So, ang coverage po ng quiz ay from lesson 1.1 hanggang lesson 1.3 or hanggang dito sa Spanish colonization period. So, if you have some questions, you are free to chat me on my FB or on Genyo. So, I hope you learn a lot today. So, goodbye and thank you.